Okay, quick one to start. You can take one of these chatbots, the ones that will happily write you an essay or debug your code, and ask it something a little kid can do. How many R's are in the word strawberry? And a lot of the time, with no tool switched on, it will tell you very confidently two, which is wrong. There are three, and this one is kind of famous by now. So the honest question is, how does something this capable trip over something this simple? And here is the thing, it's not that it's dumb and it's not bad at math. It's that it isn't reading the word the way we are. We see 10 letters STRAWBERRY. Three of them are R's. But the model, before it reads anything, chops the text into chunks. And in a sentence like that, the whole word strawberry comes out as a single chunk, one piece. So asking it to count the R's is a bit like asking someone to count the letters in a word they can only see as one solid tile. The letters are in there. They are just hard to get from a single chunk. It's reading a different alphabet than we are. And honestly, even past that, plain counting is something these models are a bit shaky without a tool. So it's really two things stacked up. But the chunks are the big idea. And the one we are chasing today. Because those chunks have a name, they are called tokens. And here is why I want to start right here. Once you really get the model reads everything in tokens, a couple of things that have probably annoyed you about AI start to make sense. Why a long chat quietly forgets what you told it at the start, and why it quietly starts costing more. And it turns out those two are the same thing underneath. So, today, what a token actually is and the one idea it unlocks, the context window, as a budget. Let's get into that. So, let's actually pin it down. A token is just a chunk of text. That's the whole idea. When we send anything to one of these models, the very first thing that happens before it does anything else is a little program called a tokenizer chops our text into these chunks. So let's say we send it, the cat sat on the mat. To us, that's six words. To the model, after tokenizing, it's seven tokens. The cat sat on the mat. And the full stop counts as its own token as well. Rough rule of thumb, in English at least, about 4 characters to a token. So a token's usually a little less than a whole word. Now, here is the part that trips people up. A token is not a word. Common little words, cat, the, is, those are each one clean token. Fine. But a rarer word, a long one, a typo, a bit of code, those split into several pieces. Bengaluru comes out as 4 chunks. And here is a fun one. A typo can quietly cost you extra. Necessary, spelled right, is a single token. Misspell it, 2 C's, necessary, and because that exact spelling isn't in the model's vocabulary, it shatters into 3. Same reason code, with all of it odd symbols, burns through tokens fast. The chopping method has a name. If you are curious, byte pair encoding. But you don't need the internals, just the picture. Text goes in, a list of chunks come out. And there is one last step, the one that really matters for the strawberry business. Each chunk doesn't stay as a text. The tokenizer swaps it for a number, an ID, from a big fixed list of every chunk it knows, its vocabulary. And here is the key thing about that number. On its own, it means nothing. It's just an address, a label, like chunk number 3842. The meaning isn't in the number, it's in whatever the model has learned to associate with that address. And that what actually leaves behind these numbers is a brilliant story all on its own. It's exactly where we go next time. So, bottom line, the model never sees our text as a stream of letters. It sees a row of these address numbers. The letters aren't gone. The tokenizer can turn them right back. The model just isn't working at a letter level, which is a big part of why counting R's is weirdly hard for it. Okay. Text becomes tokens, tokens becomes numbers. So why would that explain a chart forgetting your name and your bill creeping up? That's the budget. So the model can only take in so much at once. There is a maximum number of the tokens it can look at in one go. And that limit has a name, the context window. And at high level, people picture this like the model's memory, a brain holding on to things. It really isn't. The cleaner way to see it, it's a desk of fixed size. Everything we want the model to consider has to physically fit on that desk at the same time, laid out in front of it, not filed away in a drawer somewhere. And here is what most people miss. A lot is sharing on that one desk, not just your question. First, there is usually a system prompt, a set of hidden instructions the app tucks in front of your chart, telling the model how to behave. Then, and this is the big one from the last time, the model itself is stateless. It forgets you between calls. So, to keep a conversation going at all, the whole chart so far has to be carried back onto the desk. Every single turn, every single message you sent, every reply it gave. Now, your app might resend all of it, or the service might hold on it for you behind the scenes. But either way, it lands back in front of the model. Then your new message goes on. And then the part people don't expect, the model's own answer has to fit on that same desk as well. It needs empty room to write into. So now you can see it properly. That context window isn't a memory, it's a budget, a fixed number of tokens, and the system prompt, plus the whole carried over history, plus your new message, plus the room for the reply. They are all spending the one budget, and a budget by definition. It's the thing you can run out of. So the real question becomes what happens when the dusk fills up? Because that's the thing that really explains it. So let's say we keep chatting. We are 20 turns deep. Now, here is the thing to hold on to. Every single turn, the whole conversation so far gets carried back into the model's context. And there are actually two different growings going on at here. And people mix them up. For any one request, the dusk just fills up steadily, one exchange at a time. That part is gentle. But step back and add up everything the model has to read across all 20 turns because you sent those early messages again on turn 2 and turn 3 and turn 15. The total piles up much faster than the chart itself. And at some point, for a single request, the dusk is simply full. We have hit the edge of the budget, and now something's got to give. So, does that mean the model lost what we told? Not always. And this is worth getting right. Two different things can be going on. One, the desk was full, so the app dropped the oldest messages or replaced them with a short summary to buy room. And now that stuff is genuinely gone from the model's view. But two, sometimes it's still there on the desk, and the model just doesn't reliably pick it out, especially when it's buried in the middle of a long pile. So there are really two failure modes there. But from where we are sitting, both feel identical. The chat forgot, and the useful takeaway is the same either way. It isn't the model getting confused or losing focus, it's a budget problem. Either the words fell off the desk, or there is so much on the desk that right words get lost in it. And one aside, that friendly forgetting is a product being polite. The raw API underneath is stricter. It will often just refuse a request that's over the limit rather than quietly trim it. And the same full desk explains the other thing, the cost. These models bill you per token. The tokens going in and the tokens coming back out. And since the whole history is carried back in every turn, you are paying for it again, every turn. Turn 1, that's next to nothing. Turn 20, you are rereading and repaying for the whole conversation up to that point, every single time. That fast piling total from a minute ago landing on your bill. So a long chart doesn't just risk forgetting, it quietly gets more and more expensive for the same reason. Now, there are tricks that soften this. Caching, for instance, can make the repeated part cheaper and faster to process. But the shape is the thing worth keeping. The more we have said, the more each new turn has to carry. One more quick, because it's quietly a bit unfair. Remember, a token's about 4 characters in English, but these tokenizers were built mostly on English text. So, let's take the same short question. What is your name? That's 5 tokens in English. Write it in Telugu. Same meaning. And in an older tokenizer, it can blow up to more than 20. Now, to be fair, the newer models have narrowed this a lot. It used to be far worse, but the gap is still real. And now we can see exactly why it stings. More tokens means more you pay for the same sentence and it fills the budget faster. So, less of your actual conversation fits on the desk. So, whole languages quietly get a worse deal. And it's got nothing to do with how smart the model is. It's decided at the tokenizer before the model does anything at all. So let's pull it together because it really is one small picture. Our text becomes tokens, chunks turned into numbers. The model can only hold so many tokens at once. That's the context window. And that window is a budget, shared by the hidden instructions, the whole carried over conversation, our new message, and the room for the reply. And when that budget fills up, the oldest stuff falls off or gets lost in the pile. So it forgets, and we repay for the history every turn. So it costs more. One budget. That's the whole thing. And here is why I wanted you to have this early. Because once you can see the budget, a whole load of AI buzzwords stop being buzzwords. Prompt engineering, there is more to it, but one big part at high level is just being deliberate about what goes into the budget. The right instructions, the right examples. This thing called RAG that we will get into, that's retrieval. Going and fetching the relevant outside information the model needs and pulling in only what actually fits. Why do apps summarize your older messages? To buy back room on the desk. And why is their whole trick called caching? To make the part you keep resending cheaper. Every one of those sits right on top of this one idea. Text is tokens, and tokens live in a budget. So the next time a long chat forgets your name or the bill quietly creeps upon you, you will know what's actually going on. It isn't the model being flaky, and it isn't really memory at all. It's a disk with a hard edge, and everything you say is sharing it. And once you can see that budget, a lot of the fiddly advice floating around, keep your prompts tight, start a fresh chat when you switch topics, stop sounding like a folklore, and starts making sense. Next time we open it one more notch. We keep saying each token turns into a number, but what do those numbers actually mean? That's embeddings. And it's where the model starts to see that king and queen are related. See you there.